Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's GTA 5 video, I'm going to be telling you guys about 10 things you need to know before you actually buy the Dominator GTX. Now, right now, the Dominator GTX is an unreleased muscle car in Grand Theft Auto Online, but it will be available soon, and we're going to be talking about some things you need to know before you end up purchasing this vehicle. So let's get started today, and let's talk about the price of this car, which is actually a little bit more expensive than I thought, especially for a muscle car. So typically you don't see muscle cars priced this high, but the price of the Dominator GTX is $725,000. It's two-seaters, and I'm actually not sure what this car is based off of. Now, because it's a Dominator, you would assume it's a Mustang, but I don't know, it doesn't look like a Mustang to me. So maybe you guys can help me out in the comments down below. Is this a Mustang, Camaro, Challenger hybrid? Like, is it a combination of all three? If you guys know, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. Regardless, it's still pretty pricey for what it is. All right, moving on. When you bring this car into the Los Santos custom shop, the first thing you're going to notice is the insane amount of customization. 22 customization options is absolutely crazy. Rockstar did not skimp out when it comes to the mods and upgrades you can do on this vehicle, which is really cool. Now, one of the more unique modifications that I never would have thought this vehicle had, and I'm really not too sure why Rockstar did, was sticker bomb options. That's right. This menacing muscle car has sticker bomb options. Now, you would expect to see this on vehicles like the Panto and the Classe Asea, but why a menacing muscle car? That is kind of confusing to me, so I'm not sure why they ended up doing that, but there's sticker bomb options everywhere on this car, which is really funny in my opinion. The next thing I thought was pretty interesting is two things about the hood. Number one, there's only one hood option that allows you to keep the Vapid logo on the front, which I thought was kind of strange. That is the stock option. If you do anything other than the stock option on the hood, that Vapid option, or that Vapid badge on the front, I should say, is going to be removed. So if you are a big fan of that, unfortunately, you have to keep the stock option. The next thing that's pretty cool is you can actually change the brace bar on the engine. Now, in order to see this, you have to either remove the hood or have one of the vanity hoods where you can actually see on the inside. Of course, there's a sticker bomb option here too. There isn't really anything unique about changing the brace bar, but I thought this was a cool upgradable option on this car. And the stock one is really cool because it actually has the word Vapid written on there, which I thought was kind of awesome. Moving on to exhaust, there's nothing really all that unique here. The only thing I thought was strange is the exhaust pipes are massive. Like, you could fit a bowling ball in there. These things are huge. I don't know if this is a feature of this car in real life, but that's something I noticed. Like, it is a big exhaust, which is really crazy in my opinion. You can also make this car sort of a wide body with stock arches, chrome, secondary arches. You've also have sticker bomb options on there too, which I thought was a little funny. A ton of grill options as well, including grinder grills, shark grills. I mean, there's so much you can do on this car, which is really cool. We mentioned the hood earlier, how if you change it to anything but the stock, you actually lose that Vapid badge. There's also Vapid mudguards too, which is kind of cool. You can black out or change the rear panel of this car, which I think is kind of unique. However, one of the more secret or interesting things about this vehicle comes with the primary and the secondary color. So there's no trim color here, but you can actually change a little bit on the inside. So the primary color is going to have an impact on essentially the entire exterior of the car, with the exception of three things. Number one, the mirror. Number two, the door handle. And number three, the hood pins. Those are actually all controlled by the secondary color, which I thought was definitely a little bit unique. So the secondary color controls the mirror, controls the hood pins, and controls the door handles, which again is kind of odd. Now, that's not the only thing it controls. On the interior, the secondary color also controls the stitching of the car. So the stitching you see on the steering wheel, on the dash, on the seats itself, all of that is controlled by the secondary color. So your secondary color actually does have a big impact aside from things you choose as secondary options in the LSC. So again, pretty cool stuff going on right there. Moving on to the roof of the car, you can have a sticker bomb roof, which of course is typical. There's lots of other upgrades you can do to this vehicle as well. I told you guys there's a ton of customization on this car, which is absolutely insane. One of the more interesting things you can do on the skirt for this vehicle is actually apply a ram bar. Now, I actually went to test to see if this actually had an impact on this car or not, because the ram bar does stick way far out to the side, which is something I thought, like, is Rockstar going to allow that to clip through the side of the car, or are they going to make it so that it actually gets stuck on things? And same with some of the other spoilers, like the drag spoiler and whatnot. It's actually wider than the vehicle. So I'm wondering if that would get stuck on things. So I actually took this outside of the Los Santos custom shop, and guess what? It turns out that it does actually get stuck. So be careful putting big spoilers and wide customization options on this vehicle, because it's not for show. Your vehicle will get stuck on things if you're rounding a corner or a curve or anything like that. So it's just something to keep in mind when customizing this vehicle. The next thing about this vehicle, Rockstar seemed to like reuse the same custom stock rim like 4 times. This is basically the Chromatic Z, but it's the enhanced colored version, the one that has like the interior of the rim colored as well. So you can change the color of this wheel with the iFruit app. However, if you don't want to do that, you will lose a little bit of color by changing it to the Chromatic Z rim. So there's a little bit of a trade-off there. A little bit easier access of changing the color, but the stock rims are going to give you more color on the actual rim itself. Now, aside from that, everything else is pretty standard on this car. You can open up the trunk, you can open up the hood, which is actually really cool. You can see like the belt drive moving on this car, which is kind of awesome. Rockstar did a nice job with the engine of this car. The interior is pretty standard. There's nothing unique that shapes out right there. The only thing I wasn't a huge fan of is you can't see the dials and the gauges on the dash. Once again, Rockstar have sort of put the steering wheel in the way, so you either have to duck or sort of look down in order to see the speedometer and the tachometer and stuff on the dash. It's really frustrating how it's perfect in some vehicles, but not perfect in other vehicles like this one. The next thing I wanted to look at were the headlights, which are awesome, by the way. So you have the low beams right there, and then when you turn on the high beams, you get like 3 extra bars closer to the center of the grille, which looks really awesome. I love the way Rockstar handled the high beams. They actually look so cool. So once again, you guys know I have a big thing for headlights. So to see that they work is number 1, awesome. And number 2, the fact they look pretty cool is epic, in my opinion. So I love the high beams on the Dominator GTX. The next thing I wanted to do is test the high speed. And according to my Menu's in-game trainer, I was actually able to get this up to 107, 108 miles per hour, which I'm not sure if that's incredibly quick for muscle cars. This vehicle is going to be competing against the Vapid LE. It's going to be competing against the Sabre Turbo Custom. It's going to be competing against the Yosemite that was added in the Doomsday Heist. So a lot of really quick vehicles. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to stand up to it or not. I think it's actually pretty quick for what it is. And just in my personal experience, it has really good acceleration, traction, braking. I think it's got a pretty good top speed. So even though I'm not sure what this vehicle is based off of in real life, it can actually fly in this game, which is kind of cool. Now, the last thing I can say about the Dominator GTX is one that I think is a little bit disappointing, and one that I think would have been really cool for this vehicle, and that is liveries. Apparently, Rockstar were going to have liveries for this vehicle, but at the last minute scrapped the idea. So as you guys can take a look at this photo right here, you can see that it's UV mapped. And when vehicles are UV mapped, it's meant to have liveries. But Rockstar didn't add any liveries to this vehicle. So I'm wondering if this is something they just skipped out of at the last minute, or they decided maybe this car is better without the liveries themselves. I'm not too sure. To me, that's a little bit disappointing. I feel like there's a lot of vehicles in this update that could have done for some liveries. The Dominator GTX is one of them. The Dinka Jester Classic, the Supra, that would have been another that would have been really cool in my opinion. One vehicle that we're going to cover soon, the Sea Sparrow, that would have been neat with some cool liveries on there. So it's kind of a shame that Rockstar didn't do that. There were 2 other customization quirks that sort of bothered me a little bit. Number 1 was this car almost had everything you could change about it, but Rockstar left off like a couple of things. Like you can't change the rear bumper, you can't change the mirror. It's like if you're going to add everything you did, why not just make this entire car customizable? And at that same rate, there's a massive diffuser on the back that I don't think a lot of people are going to be big fans of, which is why I think some people would prefer to change that rear bumper. And also, for being such a modern-looking car, there's no real way to change the interior. I would have loved to see some interior quirks, and we really didn't get to see that. For the most part, the exterior of this car is beautiful, but the interior of this car maybe not so amazing. But regardless, that right there is my review of the brand new, unreleased Dominator GTX that should be coming pretty soon in Grand Theft Auto Online. And that right there is 10 things you need to know about this vehicle before you buy it and before it becomes available in GTA 5. Let me know what you think about this car though in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. You're going to be buying this muscle car? You're going to be skipping it? Let me know your thoughts, opinions, more in the comments down below. If you did go on to enjoy this video though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new. You like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care. I'll see you guys in the next video.